In this video, I want to talk to you about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. I'm extremely bullish on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana this cycle. And in this video, I'll tell you why and how bullish. Like this video, share with a friend. Let's jump in. Bitcoin supply versus demand factors today literally so different from the first 10 years of Bitcoin's existence. This is when the most Bitcoin was getting mined, so we had an excess amount of Bitcoin getting sent to exchanges. You can see it doesn't matter if we're in a bull or a bear, more Bitcoin just kept flowing to exchanges. This indicates people willing to sell Bitcoin. Taking Bitcoin off of exchanges means you're way less likely to sell it, because how are you going to? You can see right here, this is the inflection point right here. Does anybody remember what happened right here? The pandemic scare of 2020. And since that point, combined with Bitcoin's halving, combined with the fact everybody learned how to use Zoom, in that people realized the world is only trending more digital and we need a permissionless, decentralized, censorship-resistant alternative, combined with a lot of different factors. This was a major change in Bitcoin's history, where people started buying Bitcoin en masse and taking it off exchanges. This Bitcoin bull market really will be different. Bitcoin's going to grind up in 2024 and hit a new all-time high in 2025. At least this is what I think. Actually, this is what Cathie Woods thinks, who's predicting a $1 million Bitcoin by 2030, and this is where that demand is coming from precisely.
I'm assuming, Cathie, that you're going to hold to your Bitcoin forecast for, what is it, $1 million per coin by 2030. That still feels good to you?
Yes, and you can, sometimes you need to battle test. You need to go through crises to see who the real, to see the survivors, first of all, but really to battle test the infrastructure and the thesis. And again, we think Bitcoin is coming out of this smelling like a rose because of what I have mentioned previously. And I do think, though, the one thing that will be delayed is perhaps institutions stepping back and just saying, okay, do we really understand this? And once they actually do the homework and see what's happened here, I think they might be more comfortable moving into Bitcoin and perhaps Ether as a first stop. Because they'll understand it more.
Actually, many legendary investors are bullish on Bitcoin. Here's billionaire investor Bill Miller III.
So Bitcoin is the only economic entity where supply is unaffected by the demand. So even with gold, if gold, which is $1,800 today, if gold goes to $18,000, there will be a lot more gold mined, because mines that are unprofitable will become profitable. Only 21 million Bitcoin can ever be created, or close to it. It doesn't matter if Bitcoin is 100,000 or 20 million, there's only going to be that many of them. All you have to really believe is that the demand for Bitcoin will grow faster than 1.5%, over the next number of years, and the price inexorably will go up.
I think Bitcoin's total hash rate agrees with him. It just keeps breaking all-time highs. This means more and more people are turning on their miners to try and get some of that Bitcoin. And perhaps the biggest bull of them all, Michael Saylor, let's hear his investor's thesis for Bitcoin. In this 2-minute clip, he talks about 3 different factors are really going to send Bitcoin this cycle and beyond. The 3 factors are spot ETF approval coming soon, traditional bank custody of Bitcoin, you listen to him explain this, and then fair value accounting rules from FASPA. You listen.
I think there's 3 big. Look, first of all, it's going up by a factor of 10 whether they fix any of the stuff, right? It's going to go it's going to be a grind up by a factor of 10, just because gold is broken and Bitcoin's going to replace gold. And now everybody in the universe knows they need a non-sovereign store of value in the form of a bearer instrument. So now they're looking, the amount of stories. For last year, people said inflation may be coming. We're not sure. Now the mainstream narrative is flipped to inflation is here. You need an inflation hedge. So it's going to grind up to replace gold. It'll go to $500,000 a coin, regardless of whether they fix these things. But there are 3 things that are massive catalysts that cause an acceleration. And I don't think that those 3 things don't take us to 500,000. They take us to 5 million a coin, right? Those 3 things are a spot ETF, where someone can go ahead and buy $100 million of Bitcoin by a security, an ETF security. I think that's 1. 2 is your bank is going to custody it for you and lend against it. And 3 is I can mark it up or mark it down on my balance sheet based on fair value, pari passu. It'll be pari passu to the way I'd handle Apple stock, or at least that good. If you have property with fair value accounting, by the way, it becomes pari passu to the way you'd handle treasury bonds on a treasury balance sheet. Treasuries are better than stocks because treasury is property, whereas a stock is a security, and you're capped out at 40% of your balance sheet as security. So it would be a major breakthrough if you saw any of those three things. And I'll end with this one observation. I tweeted this last week, but I think it's very powerful. It's if the banks can hold this stuff on their balance sheet, then a whole new class of investors are going to buy it. People are going to put in billion and multi-billion-dollar orders to buy it as a treasury asset. Nobody's going to sell it because there's no reason to sell it if you can borrow against it at LIBOR plus or at SOFR plus 50 basis points, right? So you'll be borrowing against Bitcoin at SOFR plus 50 or SOFR plus 100 basis points. No one's ever going to sell it. And then, as I joked, you won't be able to afford it. I mean, you will be able to afford it, but everybody gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. When the banks normalize it and you can draw a $100 million credit line at 100 basis points from an FDIC insured bank, at that point, right, we're going to blow through the market cap of gold by a factor of 10.
Right.
So I think the best thing is those three things are highly likely to happen. I don't know if they happen in 36 months or 24 months or 12 months, but I would be shocked if it's more than 36 months. And I hope, guys, it doesn't happen in 12 months, because my view is the longer it takes, the more progressive the grind, the more time I have to buy more of it.
And I think right now, if I'm not mistaken...
Hey, join us at Bitcoin Amsterdam October 12th and 13th. This is an epic Bitcoin conference. Use code Altcoin Daily, 10% off tickets. Get this ticket or get this ticket. Ticket prices increase as we get closer to the event. So many awesome speakers are being added every single day. Use code Altcoin Daily for 10% off. Hope to see you there. And my God, how could you not be bullish on Ethereum? I made a video just the other day informing you on Fidelity's investment thesis for Ethereum, the fact that Cathie Wood filed for a spot Ethereum ETF, and even a $50,000 Ethereum price prediction just by doing simple math. Guys, that's not just me saying that. VanEck put out a report recently saying $50,000 Ethereum by 2030. You don't think Larry Fink and BlackRock is going to do a spot Ethereum ETF next? And we talked about Bitcoin. Guys, Ethereum is getting drained from exchanges, not to mention staking, not to mention all this. I love Lark Davis and his thoughts on Ethereum here. Ethereum spot ETFs will be insane. About 27 million Ethereum in the staking contract. 14 million left on exchanges, only 12% of supply. A few $1 billion entering ETH from TradFi is likely to have outsized price impacts. Are you ready? Should I get Crypto Lark on this channel for an interview? Let me know in the comments. I've been watching some of his videos lately. Love the perspective.
$50,000 per Ethereum. That is what VanEck Investment Management says Ether could hit by 2030. Is this an insane or a practical price prediction? Well, they cite common bullish narratives to support their thesis, like the token burn, strong market capture, layer 2s, as well as growing use cases like security as a service. So, what do you think? Is $50,000 realistic? Let me know in the comments.
Finally, guys, Solana is truly differentiating itself versus all the other alternative L1s. Ethereum is still above Solana, that's for sure, but Solana is really pulling ahead, particularly with this Visa partnership, but it's not just this. There's the Shopify thing. Listen to the co-founder of Solana on CNBC talk about this Visa partnership and talk about why Solana is pulling ahead of the pack. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We drop one video every day, keeping you informed. Look forward to about a week and a half's worth of interviews as we're traveling abroad.
Now, this partnership is big for Solana. So how did it come about and how will it work exactly?
Yeah, I'm very excited that Visa chose to use Solana. And I think it came about from the strength of the Solana ecosystem and the engineering team, and kind of the technologies that have been built over the last 5 years. I think it's, if you look at the data and the stats, it's pretty obvious that Solana is the cheapest and one of the fastest networks out there. And USDC and Solana is, my favorite version of the US dollar.
So over on X, formerly known as Twitter, Solana wrote that Visa is scaling its USDC settlement pilot to include the Solana blockchain, enabling enterprise-grade throughput at virtually no cost for Visa users and merchants. Can you expand on that? How exactly is this partnership going to work?
Well, Solana is an open protocol. Anyone can build on it. So the Visa folks chose to build on Solana. So they don't really need, permission or help from us, which is pretty great. You can think of the network as a, network version of Linux. It's open source. Anyone can participate. What's really distinguishing about Solana is how fast and cheap it really is. I mean, we see that average transaction settles in about 1.2 seconds, and the cost is 0.002 cents. So we really built the technology to be as close to the cost of the hardware that it takes to run it, which means, computers are very, very cheap these days. Bandwidth is very, very cheap. So money can actually be transmitted as cheap as data. And that's really, really cool. And I think the cornerstone of Solana.